Welcome back, mamas. We are in the midst of our series on JOMO, achieving JOMO, the joy of missing out, right? And today we are going to talk about authenticity, how to achieve authenticity, what it is, and why we want that in our lives, and then how we actually get it. So let's get to it.
Do you wish you had control of your days, that you had a rhythm, but instead feel overwhelmed, scattered, and like there's never enough time? You're in the right place. I'm Danielle, a recovering workaholic, wife, and stay-at-home mom of 2 girls. I've learned how to reclaim my time and find purpose and freedom so I can be present with my kids and feel like myself again. Here, we embrace where we are, but we don't stay there. So if you're ready to trade the chaos for clarity, the guilt for grace, and the endless to-do list for aligned flow, grab the kiddos a snack and toss in that laundry because I know you're multitasking, and let's do this because your time, your purpose, and you matter.
Okay, mamas. So as I mentioned, we're in the middle of our series on JOMO. We talked about JOMO, this joy of missing out, this thing that I always talk about, but never knew what it was. And it is something that I believe is super achievable, but it is something that seems so far away. It's something that comparison, right? Comparison trips us up from being able to achieve this so much. In Tuesday's episode, we talked about comparison, the good, bad, and the ugly of it, and how to combat it. And I want to get a little bit deeper on this because of something that I mentioned in Tuesday's episode that I started to think about. And it's just the fact that I used to put on this face, this pretending. And I believe, honestly, that I was pretending even to myself. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to be fulfilled. I thought that I had everything that I had wanted, right? I thought that I should be happy, right? And so I was pretending as if I was happy. But deep down, I was not happy. I was far from happy. And the pretending, the not being authentic and true to what was actually going on was really part of the major problem of why I was comparing myself to anyone and everyone. We talk about comparison, and the way that I feel like everybody looks at comparison is we are comparing our lives to someone else, right? Like, and that is what comparison is, obviously. But comparison, it can, as we talked about on Tuesday, be used as inspiration, but comparison can also be used as a clue. It can be used as a clue if you are constantly comparing yourself to everyone else. Everyone, like you are constantly thinking they have it all together and they have it figured out and I want what they have. And you are comparing your life to pretty much anyone and everyone else's. That is an indication. It is a clue that you are unhappy. It is a clue that you have no idea who you are right now, that you are lost, that you have lost your identity, and it is okay. I want to tell you, first of all, that it is okay. Like, I don't want you to freak out right now if you're thinking, I do that. Like, I do that because guess what? I did that. I did do that. I mentioned on Tuesday that I used to fall into this trap of comparison all the time. I was comparing myself to everyone. And it was because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what would make me happy. Nothing truly was making me happy. I mean, my kids were making me happy. My family was making me happy. There were moments that I was achieving happiness. But as we talked about happiness and joy, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we first started our series on JOMO, is something different. Joy is something that is different than happiness. And this joy is really what we're after. This joy, this ability to know that we are okay, that we are content with where we are. This joy that we are able to feel even when we're having an emotion of sadness or sorrow or anger or whatever, we can still be joyful. We can still be full of joy because we are content with where we are, with who we are, right? We can have emotions within that, but we want to achieve this state, right? This state of joy, not this fleeting emotion of happiness. And comparison can be a big clue that we aren't happy, that we aren't joyful, right? That we aren't able to be joyful because we don't even know who we are. Now, I said this podcast was going to be about authenticity and how we discover authenticity for ourselves. How do we be ourselves when we don't know what that means or what that looks like, right? How are we able to be ourselves when we're not sure what that is right now? So that is what I want to talk about today. So I'm going to start with a quote. This quote is from Brené Brown that says, "Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are." Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. We think we're supposed to be this certain way, right? We're supposed to be this stay-at-home mom that is happy, that is doing, all of the chores and that is making all of the fun treats and the healthy snacks and the amazing dinners for our family and getting all of the laundry done and the house is always pristine and this is who we are and what we're supposed to be. But guess what? That might not be who you are or who you're supposed to be. And guess what? Also, that's probably not achievable or attainable, right? We aren't able to be perfect. We aren't able to achieve that picture in our mind of perfection, right? This amazing house with all of these healthy snacks and no chaos and, all of these things that just don't exist, right? They're not real life. And so what I want to really get you to tap into is who we are. But when we don't know who we are, when we are completely different than we used to be, this is where we kind of lose that ability to really even be authentic because we're not even sure who we are anymore. We had this picture of what it was going to be like to be a mom. We have this picture of what we thought it was going to be like to be a stay-at-home mom. We have this picture of what everyone else thinks it's like to be a stay-at-home mom. And, your husband probably has a picture of it. Your family has a picture of it, but if they haven't done it before, they don't know what that looks like either, right? And so everyone's idea of what this mom life should look like and what your life should look like is at odds with who you actually are. Because in the reality, you aren't able to know until you are that person, right? And so I feel like I was battling this identity that I used to have and these things that used to make me happy. I started to think about it and I'm like, what is a good example? And one of the things I came up with was I was an enormous UK basketball fan. Like the University of Kentucky, I went to school there. I only wanted to go to school there. Like I didn't apply to anywhere else. And it was literally not because it was a great school, even though it was. It was because of their basketball team, okay? I don't know why or how I got obsessed. Like, it wasn't like anybody in my family was like a huge obsession with UK basketball, but it was me. I was obsessed and I loved it. And that is the reason that I wanted to go to college there. It's a great reason to pick a school, right? But seriously, it is. And they won 2 national championships while I was there. So it was absolutely amazing. My dream was fulfilled, right? But you guys, when I had kids, like up until I had kids, even when I first had Gabriella, like I was an enormous UK basketball fan. Like they say you bleed blue. I literally bled blue. But guess what? When I had number 2, it became kind of a burden to keep up with my UK loving basketball fandom. Like there were games all of the time. I still loved it, but I just didn't have time for it anymore. But guess what? I was trying to make time for it because I had loved it. The problem was it wasn't able to bring me the kind of joy that it used to because doing it, following it, watching it, keeping up with it the way that I had was not able to be achieved anymore. Like I wasn't able to do that. And when I was doing it was typically at inopportune times as a mom with two littles. It was in the evening, that's when their games are. They're late sometimes. I wanted to be sleeping. Like it was disrupting everything. I wasn't enjoying it. And it also made me grumpy because I wasn't able to enjoy it, but I was also altering my life around it. And it became one of those things that I was like, okay, Danielle, you've got to let this go. Like it is not bringing you the joy that it used to. And it made me really sad. And you guys, I haven't really picked it back up. Like when I watch a game, I super enjoy it still when I watch a game, but I have no idea who the players are. I have no idea what's going on. Like the actual coach was at school. Like I know him. He was at school when I was there. And, so it is weird. And it is like one of those things where I still get into it and behind it and the whole thing, but I don't follow it. If you ask me what the score of the game was last night, I don't even know. That's how much I decided that wasn't important to me anymore. And it wasn't. And I didn't really miss it after the initial break because I took the time to figure it out. I took the time to get clear and get still. This is the foundational work that I talked about last week, right? I talked about this building the foundation and figuring out what's important to you in this season of your life and why. And when I took the time, and you guys, like I told you, it is hard work. It is deep work. It is not going to happen overnight. However, when you peel back the layers and when you figure it out and when you get to the heart of it and when you're able to discover all of these new truths about yourself, it is amazing because then you can walk in that and you're finding joy other places, right? You're finding happiness other places. You are able to then rediscover who you are. And certain parts of you have changed, right? You're a mom now. That's amazing. But certain parts of you are still always going to be the same, right? Even your values may have changed a little bit, or at least the ones that you prioritize over others, right? Because there was a time in my life when I prioritized having fun over, sometimes over work and work over having fun sometimes. And, this is the aligned flow we talk about, right? But right now, work and fun, fun is something I want to weave into my life, but it's definitely not more important than a lot of things with my kids anymore, right? And so it is something that I try to include them in, and it looks a whole lot different now than it used to. It's just something where you grow into it. There's different seasons of your life. And guess what? I am not sure you're ready to hear this, but the kids won't always be there either. And so you're going to be able to go back to some of these things that you loved before, and maybe you're going to fall back into absolutely loving them and them bringing you this happiness that they used to. But right now, it's actually a detriment. And so that is a huge example in my life of just one thing, one tweak that I was able to make that made a huge difference in me being able to experience that JOMO. Because if I had seen someone at a UK basketball game or doing any of these things like a long time ago when I wasn't in the know, it would have made me like, oh my gosh, this fear of missing out. Like, oh my gosh, I have to go every year. I have to at least go to one game and all of these things that I used to do. But now I have so much joy when I see other people enjoying that, but I don't have this wishing I had been there feeling. I don't have that anymore because I'm content in what I'm doing, right? Now, would I like to go to a UK basketball again someday? I'm sure, yes. But that's not a high priority on my list right now. It just isn't. And it actually is a place where I'm super content in that. And that is the key, right? That you want to get to that place where you are content. You're not comparing yourselves to anyone and everyone. You are content and you're happy in being able to look at what other people are doing and be happy that they're enjoying their lives while you're also enjoying yours. And you're happy in enjoying your life because you've done that foundational work first that we talked about, right? This is so important. I have another quote that I want to share, and it says, it's from Unknown. Don't know who the author is, but it says, if you're your authentic self, you have no competition. If you are your authentic self, you have no competition. Because when we're living true to ourselves, we aren't competing with anyone else. We aren't trying to be like this person or that person. We are in our own lane truly. We are, not trying to race against anyone else. We're in our own race. We're not trying to jump ahead 10 chapters in our book. We're staying where we are in our chapter. I hope this is sinking in. It is such a beautiful thing when you're able to come to terms with it, right? And it did take some time. I didn't honestly know that I wasn't being my authentic self. I just knew I was unhappy, but I didn't take the time to figure out why I was unhappy, right? I was just unsettled. I was on edge and I felt out of control and I felt scattered and I felt overwhelmed all the time. And I didn't know what the impetus behind it was. And really, the impetus behind it was that I hadn't figured out who I was now that I was a mom. I hadn't figured that out. And I really believe that that may be where you are sitting right now. It may be. And I want you to be able to experience this JOMO so much. And this foundational work, we have this comparison that we're going to use, number one, as a clue, but number two, as a driver, right? As something that we can use as an inspiration to move us forward in our own lane, though. Right? To move us, not striving or trying to be like someone else or trying to jump to where they are, but it's an inspiration and it's a clue, and to use it in that way. And so I hope this makes sense to you. I am excited to talk about boundaries next week. We are going to dive into that. That is the third piece that is really key in being able to experience this JOMO. But I hope that you are seeing how this work and how what we are doing could really bring you peace. And I hope that you are inspired to want to figure out for yourself, what is my authentic self, right? What is my authentic self? Because I know you don't want to be unhappy. I know you don't want to sit there in this overwhelmed feeling. And I know that you are capable of getting out of it. I know that you are capable of doing this work. I know I keep saying that it's hard, and it is. It's not really difficult if you know what steps to take. It is going to be very reflective, and you may learn some hard truths, or actually walking it out is going to feel a little bit hard, like that whole, break of me in UK. Like, it was hard at first, but then it wasn't. Right? It was just different. And as you know, different and change, especially change when you are letting go of something that you've been holding on to for so long, that can feel really hard, right? But what's on the other side is so amazing that it is just so worth it. But I hope this is all inspiring you to recognize that you can do this for yourself. That yes, it may be a little hard. There may be some challenging times. There may be some obstacles, but that it's possible for you. So I want you to know that. I want you to know that I'm here for you, that I can help you with this foundational work. This is exactly what I do. What I love to do is to help you get unstuck and help you to get clear on what it is that brings you that joy, that fulfillment that you want. Okay. So go to prioritizewithpurpose.com. That is where you can sign up for a prioritization clarity call with me. and I will meet you right back here next week to talk about boundaries.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode, Mama. If so, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and then hit share and send this to a mom who needs this in her day. I'll meet you right back here next week. Keep smiling, y'all.